Good morning, guys. Good morning. Okay, today is going to be short and sweet. I have to be at work at 11. So this mama's got to get her workout in, have to get showered and ready for work. And then I could sit down, relax a little bit, answer some of you guys' message and application to my virtual fit club. And then I could head out the door and get to the salon. Hey, Deborah. But I read something today that I have to share with you really quick. Because just reading the title was like, mind-blowing for me. I've been feeling a little overwhelmed lately. I always seem to have an overflow of things on my plate. Even something as simple as needing to make a few phone calls can be overwhelming just because you have to do that on top of everything else. Like, I'm not just driving, I'm driving and doing phone calls or whatever it is. So it could be a little hectic feeling, which can make you feel overwhelmed, or at least it makes me feel overwhelmed. And sometimes I feel like I hold myself back on what I know I can accomplish. And so when I read this, just the title alone, when I read it, I was like, wow, okay, I was supposed to read that today. I caught up on all my devotionals in my Bible app with my girls. I'm going to share that app later today because I would love to connect with some of you on there and maybe read some passages and chat about them together. I'm really trying to bring God into my life a little bit more. I feel like that has been the missing link for me for a while. I was doing really good with going to church, but sometimes I feel like some of the churches I've gone to, at least here in South Florida, I feel like they're not giving me a message. They're just more there for me to give them tons of money. Like, I feel like I'm not getting out of church what I wanted to get out of church. And I think that's just because of how the churches are here, or I just haven't found a good one. Good morning, Mom. So I'm really loving that app. But this passage did not come out of that app. It actually came out of my my Find Your Happiness book, the 365 Days of Finding Your Happiness. And it says, it isn't who I am that holds me back. It's who I think I'm not. Just that alone, like, that's all we have to read. Just that alone says a lot. And it's so freaking true. So true. But I want to read the passage to you. I was going to kind of summarize it, but I feel like you guys will get more out of it if I read that to you. So it says, hey, Mary Tyler, it says, you are spending too much time focusing on what you can't do. Instead of spreading the negative energy, focus your thoughts on what you are capable of. You have a life force inside you far greater than you could ever imagine. Put your attention on your talents, strengths, and good qualities. This will help you feel more secure and confident. That is so freaking right on the money. It's not even funny. And I just was like Dr. Seuss and rhymed. Because it's so true. We put so much negative energy on, I can't do this because of XYZ. I can't do that because of XYZ. And all that's happening is we're focusing on the things that we can't do, and we're forgetting about all the million things that we can do. And there's something that we can do that might make whatever we're trying to work, it might make it work. So we really need to make sure we focus on our strengths and focus on our talents and focus on the things that we can do. One of the things I feel is a big strength of mine is the positive talks, the positive motivational talks that I do here every morning. I find them very helpful even for myself because, like they say, the best way to learn something is to teach it to someone else. So when I'm struggling with something, I always find something to read to help me through that. And then I pay that forward and teach it to you guys. So it's very, very true that to learn something, the best thing to do is to teach. Sorry, I keep blinking. I feel like I have something in my eye. The best thing to do is to teach it to someone else. And that's how I learn best. So that's where a lot of these positive motivational chats come from is, so I can reiterate and remind myself of what I learned and what I read so I can continue processing it. I can continue putting it into effect and implementing it in my life. So here's our little affirmation for this specific topic to remind ourselves that, the only thing holding us back is not who we are, it's who we think we're not. So here's our little, motivational spiel that we should tell ourselves every morning. It says, I have talents and strengths unique to my life purpose. I celebrate my strengths and show them openly with love. When I connect to my heart, I am guided by my intuition and I am connected to my real self. I focus on who I am rather than allowing my fears to dictate my identity. And I love that. You know, it's really hard. Life in general is super, super hard. So when you have those moments to where, you know, you're following your heart, but things just aren't panning out, or you think you're following your heart, but you're not finding fulfillment in what you're doing, then you're not really following your heart. You might be following half of what your heart is trying to tell you. You just might not be on the right path with it or going in the right direction. So I think it's super important to remember that we're holding ourselves back not because of who we are, because who we're thinking we're not. So that's a short little spiel that I have for you today, but I do have a call to action, and I have something I want you to implement. And I want you to remind yourself of your talents. Remind yourselves of your strength. I used to be able to tell other people their strengths like this, but I used to never say, okay, well, these are my strengths. And I remember even like when I would be in like a team training for a job or something like that, or even on a job interview, and they would ask your strengths. It was always so hard for me to talk about my strengths. I know what my strengths are, but I was always hard to talk about it. It was always hard to talk about it because I felt it kind of like egotistical. Like, okay, let me just toot my own horn for 20 minutes and tell you everything that I can do. But the more that I read and the more that I dive into personal development and self-help books and seminars and things like that, I'm learning that that's not egotistical. It takes a strong person to be able to tell you all their strengths. Like, my strengths are positive thoughts. My strengths are being able to communicate the problem that I'm finding, but then also to find a solution. Because I don't want to just be a bitch fest of complaining about everything that's hard for me. I also find a solution for it. But I talk it out. I don't hold it inside. My strengths is my positive motivational speaks. My strengths are being a good mom. Knowing that being a good mom means that I'm going to be a bad mom sometimes. That's just human. You can't be perfect. Your kids will never live up to perfect. So all of us have many, many strengths, but you need to be able to admit those strengths. So my call to action today is for you to admit those strengths. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to write in the comments, if you're with me live, I want you to write live, and then I want you to list your strengths. And if you're watching the replay, I want you to write replay and list your strengths. But I want to see all your strengths here in the comments, because I think it's really important to know where our strengths are, because by knowing that, we're going to be able to use those to move ourselves closer to the goals that we want to hit in life. So I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful Monday, guys. Never miss a Monday on a Sweat Fest. I'm going to go get mine done now, even though I really don't want to. All I want to do is sit down, chat with you guys, and then go to the salon for work. But I'm going to go get my workout in because I am determined to stay on track. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'm excited to see your list of strengths. I'll talk to you later.